Hey guys, today's video is going to be all about Junkrat. He's easily one of the most effective heroes in the game if you know how to play him right. So I'll be showing you guys his playstyle and how to use his primary fire in different ways, including his trap, mine, and ultimate uses. So let's get into it.
I believe I can fly. Woo. I believe I can touch the sky.
Junkrat's playstyle is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is spam grenades into a choke area or the general area that people are trying to pass through. Each grenade does 120 damage, so 2 grenades will kill all the squishies in the game. So a different way that I like to spam chokes is to bounce them off the wall, especially when there's a Reinhardt. You can get the grenades behind the Reinhardt shield without having to go through the shield, which creates a lot of chaos and usually you end up getting a pick or two. This also gives it the element of surprise. People aren't expecting for grenades to bounce off walls and it's hard to adjust from them. As Junkrat, you can also control an area by using the environment and your trap to your advantage. So here I place down a trap to make sure that no one gets close enough to kill me, and I keep going in and out of the room and spamming the choke. Eventually I get, I think, about 3 people total. So this is basically what you want to do. If you find yourself in this situation, just phase out in and out of the room and just keep spamming grenades and putting pressure on the enemy team. So if you're trying to 1v1 someone in close range, I found that there's 2 ways to aim your primary fire to do so. One of them is bouncing the shot off the ground, and the other one is trying to predict where the enemy is going to be moving. That just depends on your playstyle though. Sometimes I like to use both to mix it up and confuse the enemy, but like I said, whatever feels right to you. The Concussion Mine. It's one of my favorite Junkrat abilities. There's a lot you can do with this ability. You can put it on the ground and wait for people to walk over it and detonate it. You can toss out your Concussion Mine after you've landed a primary fire and detonate it to get a kill. So here's a little trick with Junkrat. On specific maps, there's spots you can put the trap and mine where people will always walk and won't pay attention to the trap. So on Eichenwald, it's beside this vehicle at the first point that you're defending. So whenever you're playing on Eichenwald, try it out. Put the trap there and put the Concussion Mine there, and I guarantee you will get multiple kills over the match. And people won't pay attention to that spot because in this specific spot, too much is happening for people to pay attention to the ground. They're being shot at, they're trying to avoid dying, they're trying to shoot at you. So just pick spots like this on other maps and you should have the same success. And one more thing, if you're doing this indoors or a place that has a wall beside it, put the Concussion Mine on the wall. They're less likely to see the trap if the mine isn't there because it's less clutter on the floor. So another way you can use the mine is to displace enemies and to displace yourself. So in this clip, Mercy's asking for help.
Guys!
And naturally, that's how you would sound if you were being killed by the spawn of Satan. So I decide to help him, and I knock the Mei away from him to save his life. You can also use the Concussion Mine to get to high ground, put distance between you and an enemy, and escape from the fight. And here is another trick with the mine. You can use it to launch yourself up in the air and start lobbing grenades from above. This is useful because it helps you get behind the Reinhardt shield, and it adds an element of surprise. So trap placement is really important. I like to place traps around corners as you're walking up the stairs, just places that are hard to see. So one thing you can do with the trap is to place it right at your feet if you're about to die. That way, when you do die, you'll trap the enemy and you'll make use of your passive, which drops the bombs and deals a shit ton of damage. Whenever I want to ult, I usually place a trap around me. Think of it as a security system, so that when you're ulting, the person has to either go through the trap or shoot it. Either way, it buys you time and helps you get your ultimate off. So overall, you want to place your traps mid-fight, you want to place them around corners, and you should be dropping them right before you die. Junkrat's ultimate is one of my favorite ults in the game. Reason being is you can take out multiple targets if you use it correctly. Emphasis on the correctly. And what this means is you need to know when to pop it, where to pop it, and how to pop it. And I'm still talking about the ultimate here. So there's a couple of things you need to consider before you pop that ult. Sometimes I like to pop it from really far away because the enemy tends to forget that the ultimate's coming. So look at it from their point of view. Do you pay attention to the McCree that's killing you right now? Or do you pay attention to the tire that's going to get to you? Usually, they pay attention to the McCree that's killing them right there and then. So a couple of things you want to factor in. I like to use my ult from the high ground. I like to take the scenic route sometimes. And sometimes I just like to play mind games with the enemy. And that means just driving around, letting them hear the tire that's going to kill them eventually. It buys a couple extra seconds and I end up getting a kill. So every second counts. Alright, let's talk about counters. So Junkrat does have more counters than he does favored matchups, but that only matters at the pro level, and the majority of players aren't at the pro level. So all you really have to do against the counters is not to get singled out, because against Pharah, you can't hit her when she's in midair, unless you're aimbotting or you get lucky. Zarya isn't a direct counter to Junkrat because of the way Junkrat's grenades interact with Zarya's shields. By giving her so much energy, it means that Zarya is always almost going to have 100 energy. If you find yourself against a Zarya that has full energy all the time, consider switching because your team is going to suffer because of it. Against a Genji, as long as you're not singled out by him, he shouldn't be a problem. Your trap actually counters him if he doesn't have his deflect up. So as long as you stick with the team, you should be fine. This next counter is extremely important. Never try to contest against a Widowmaker. You have absolutely nothing to counter her. Alright, so let's talk about favored matchup. Against the Reinhardt, all you have to do is spam that shield. Junkrat does so much damage that Reinhardt's shield will only be able to take so many shots, and that will slow his team's push down. Against the Winston, all you really have to do is trap that monkey, and as soon as you do that, he's pretty much defenseless. Even his shield won't hold up against Junkrat's damage. And finally, Tracer. Same rule applies here. All you have to do is trap her. Just put down that trap in the most obvious place possible, and she'll eventually run through it. And make sure you don't get singled out by her. That's really important too. And that's it for Junkrat's Guide. Make sure to subscribe for videos like this every Thursday. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next week.